It's not about settling for mediocrity. And I want you to think about that today because I want to help you get beyond that mediocrity. See, for mediocrity, I think of surviving. I think of getting by. I think of coasting. Now, with all due respect, because I know a lot of people who have survived cancer. I know a lot of people who have survived domestic abuse. I know that word surviving is important, so I'm not here to minimize it, but I'm just saying, you know what? I remember, and I'm going to get into my story in a little while, but I remember that first person who said to me about 10 years into my paralysis, you know what, Scott? It's amazing how you've survived paralysis so long in terms of caring for yourself, in terms of living. And I know at that moment I exhausted my greatest power, my power to choose to say, you know what? I'm tired of surviving. I want to thrive. And I'll never forget the first audience that I said to. I had somebody right away say, wait a minute, you can't thrive? You got a disability, you got limitations, you got all this. I said, says who? Says who? And I remember making a choice to say, this is about thriving starting today. So in that thriving, I realized, you know what? Are things tough? Are there challenges? Absolutely. In which I recognize more than ever through the experiences of others, but my own experience as well, is that when challenges come up, when it gets tough, we got to work a little bit harder. And I know that we reject. I'm going to help you to get beyond this today too. I know we want to reject, what do I have to do? Or you could say, what's next? Or is it impossible? Been told a lot of things in my life too, and a lot of you have been told this is impossible. In which I'm going to tell you the impossible just takes a little bit longer. Do me a favor right now, on your pads that are right in front of you, just write the word impossible and put an apostrophe between the I and the M. I want to change the game because I am in the presence of game changers. I am in the presence of experience makers. And I need you at this moment only for one reason, because you so choose, to delete the meaning of the word impossible in your repertoire. Because if you think something's impossible, you are translating, you are emitting that energy. And I'm letting you know now, the I'm possible will begin to work with you. It already has, but not enough to the point where you can cancel out the impossible. So today it's about taking it to the next level. I want you to be motivated. I want you to be inspired. But I know all too well motivation, inspiration can be here today and gone tomorrow. You could wake up tomorrow morning and be like, here I am again. See, the secret sauce is taking that and turning it into action. I want to share that with you as well today, because I'm all about motivation. I'm all about inspiration, but I realize where I've come up short, where other people, even clients that I coach, have come up short, is where the action isn't taken. And I'm thinking about all of you today, knowing full well that you're game changers, knowing full well that you're experience makers, knowing full well that you are transforming people's lives. I can't think of maybe a profession, maybe something in medicine, but there's something related to medicine here, where you're improving the quality of people's lives. And you're seeing the direct results that you have to remind yourself of why it is that you're doing what it is that you're doing. That's your fuel, that's your energy, because things get tough, yeah, absolutely. So rewind that tape of your life a little bit. That's the beautiful thing about our lives, is that we can rewind the tape and go back to those moments. Think about when you first got involved with this organization. I'll tell you right now, it probably wasn't about the paycheck. It probably wasn't about the benefits, even though those are important. There was something deeper. And then that first person that you connected with, that first person who you saw transform his or her life, or maybe the program actually did it for you. And so you can rewind that tape and go back to that moment and get that energy you need to go on. See, I believe that's half the battle, showing up for life, getting up and out of that bed and just getting up. I want to acknowledge each and every one of you for that. And then the other half of the battle, where your choice is taking you. See, I want you to have one ear open to yourself in this wonderful position that you have at the Max Challenge. But I also want you to keep one ear open to yourself personally as well, because I need you to walk your talk. I need to make sure there's a congruency by the way you are at home and the way you are at work. And hopefully, as much as possible, it's one and the same. but where your choice is taking you. Because we've seen this, is that with these choices, man, we can hit our goals. We can actually realize our dreams. I think some of you are realizing too, we can go beyond our wildest dreams. That's the power of what this power to choose can do. But conversely too, it can take you in the opposite direction and take you down a road of destruction for yourself and other people. That's how powerful it is. For me, it's all about gratitude. It's appreciating where we are right here, right now. But also realizing is that I'm never satisfied. There's always another level in all areas of our life. And again, we can make that choice to say, oh, what kind of work, what kind of effort we got to give. That's a choice. Or we can basically say, what's next? Who am I going to meet next? Who is going to be a part of that journey to get me to the next level of where I need to be? That's where it makes life exciting. That's where it's like, I can't wait, whether it's that person out on the corner of the street who doesn't know where his or her next meal is coming, or that president of that Fortune 500 corporation. Everybody is my equal. Everybody came into this world with one title, and that's human being. Now, I started asking these questions at a very young age, folks. At a very young age. And I will tell you, for the first 15 years of my life, it was all about movement. A wheelchair wasn't in my life. And then December 28, 1985 came. I was a sophomore at Verona High School in Verona, New Jersey. And I woke up and I could no longer walk. I didn't have an accident. I didn't have an injury. I didn't have any kind of trauma. I had a very rare stroke that just burst and bled, was in my body since birth, and it was my time. Left me paralyzed from about my belly button down to my toes. No accident, no injury, no trauma. I was told that I would never be able to walk again. And then many years later, I was told that I would never be able to father my own children. Folks, being able to father my own children, I'd be blessed if I could adopt a child. It's still something my wife and I talk about doing. And guess what? If I adopted a child, it would still be my own child. I understand that, but from my own flesh and blood, my own biological, I wanted to have my own children. I've taken 2 wonderful tours around the world. Before my second trip around the world, my wife's first trip, been married almost 18 years now. I will tell you, as I decided to get tested, and I was told that I had a 2% chance of fathering my own children. And the longer that I'm paralyzed in a wheelchair, the more those numbers would go down. I'm like, wow, thanks a lot. Like, it could get any worse. But so I said, thanks, Doc. I need to leave. And I left on a trip with my wife, 26 countries 1 year, and I'll never forget the last thing that we did. We went to a personal development seminar in Hawaii. 2,500 people were at the seminar. And one night it was announced that we were going to do a fire walk. A fire walk. All of a sudden my mind got out and said, fire? Pfft, what kind of joke is this? I put my hand down by it. There was burning hot coals down it. These are burning hot coals. How are we going to walk? I can't walk. I'm the only one at this entire seminar that can't walk. I can't do it. That's what my mind had told me. But I trained myself to do a head heart shift. Mind thinks, the heart knows. My heart said, find a way. Moments later, in front of the director of the seminar, I said, listen, I know that I can't do this fire walk on my feet and on my legs, but you know what? I'm going to do it on my hands. You see, with my arms and my hands, I'm going to get down onto the ground. I'm going to flip over into my stomach. I want you to grab my legs, and we're going to go along these hot coals, like a wheelbarrow race. And he looked at me just like many of you were looking at me like, this boy is crazy. Folks, I am crazy. Keep telling me I can't do something. Keep telling me it's impossible. I'm going to find a way under you. I'm going around you. I'm going over you. And if I'm strong enough, I'm going through you. I have to come to that determination on my own. He said, you know what, Scott, I believe in you, but you got to be prepared. So after a night's worth of training, he pulled me alongside. He said, Scott, it's not going to be this little patch of burning hot coals. There's going to be a path 40 feet long. Whatever you want in life is waiting for you on the other end. That was the gap, folks. And while I knew where I was right now, all of a sudden the visual became crystal clear to me, is that I saw myself walking along the beach, holding my wife's hand with one hand and holding a child's hand with the other hand. And the feeling was pure ecstasy, pure joy and love waiting for me on the other end. I got down the ground, flipped over my stomach and grabbed my legs and I said, let's go. And I felt some heat on my hands and I felt it on my face, but there was something more important that was waiting for me. And I got done with that, and it was one of those beliefs that, okay, if this is possible, anything is possible. If you think about that in our lives, in which we said, wow, is it tough? Yeah, it might be tough. Is it impossible? If it's impossible, maybe it's going to take a little bit longer. So a few weeks later, after that wonderful experience, we're back at home. I had just been retested about the chances of fathering my own children. All of a sudden, shortly thereafter, I go meet with my doctor in a room. He goes, shut the door. Not even please. He goes, shut the door. I shut the door, and he said, what in the hell have you been doing? And I said, why? And he says, you've just defied logic. You've just defied years and years of research. You now have a 55% chance of fathering your own children. What in the hell have you been doing? So with a great big smile on my face, I tapped the center of my chest. And I said, Doc, there's something that's unquantifiable. And it doesn't exist within some of us. It exists within all of us. And that's the power of belief. Just to tell you where the power of belief can take you, is it can take you to your own family. My daughter right now is in 8th grade. She's 14 years old, and my son, Ray, he is 12 years old, and he's in the 6th grade. Is that they are two shining examples to me of what's not only possible in my life, but what's possible for any other human being. Any other human being. I don't say that to sound inspirational or heroic. Don't have bad days anymore. Oh, do I have challenging moments, moments of anger and sadness and all that? Absolutely. But it's this thing called gratitude that weighs supreme in my life that will never, ever allow me to have a bad day ever again. Just challenging moments. Before my head hits the pillow tonight, is that I can promise you one of those 12 things that I write before I go to bed will have the opportunity to connect with the Max Challenge and to do whatever I can to serve this wonderful organization and not just watch it survive, but help it to continue to thrive. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you. Oh, wow. Good morning. That's a little bit better. It's great to be with you. This is actually the last part of our journey this year. I'm thinking just with regards to this program, but like many other students that I've had a chance to connect with over the years, I've seen a lot of them. And what's great is that whether it's another year in high school or sometime in college, wherever I go, I'll find someone who'll tap me on the shoulder and just say, hey, you know what, I remember you. And whatever it was, whether it was a video that I showed or some people word for word will be quoting things. What I love most, though, and this is what I asked you from day one, is, you know what, I want you to absorb what I'm sharing. I want you to be motivated, and I want you to be inspired. But like anything with motivation and inspiration, it can be here today and gone tomorrow. And it's good if we could be self-motivated and obviously have motivation outside of us as well, but be self-inspired too by what it is that we do, because that's going to help you to flip the switch. And what I mean by that is that that's going to help you to take action. And that's what it's all about. Again, motivation, inspiration, here today, gone tomorrow. It's up to you about taking action in your life. Sometimes it's going to be an incredible leap that you're going to take. Other times you might not feel that you're making so much progress because they're baby steps. I'm just saying the more that you can be in the moment and enjoy the big leaps, enjoy the little baby steps, and also the setbacks. Because they're lined with feedback. They're lined with messages that can help us learn more about ourselves and more about other people. So this is the end of our journey today. But I know your journey, my journey continues, and I'm hoping that somewhere is that we cross paths again. So today it's about reflecting. It's about reloading. I want you to reflect based on this year. I know we got finals coming up soon. And it's towards the end of the school year, but I see this as an opportunity, almost like one chapter closing and another one beginning. And seeing how much that we can build this momentum and the constant and never-ending improvement. I hope that that sticks with you. If nothing else sticks with you, is that acronym I gave you, CANI, C-A-N-I, constant and never-ending improvement. Appreciating what's brought us up to this moment, because every single experience, every single choice, every single event in your life has brought you here. And everything moving forward, that's in the future. We want to plan for it. We want to prepare for it. But the more that you can be in moments in your life and absorb the moment, the more that you will appreciate this whole journey that's taking place right now. I want to share with you, I've been sharing with you little videos from time to time, some about my life, some about others, and I want to share with you a video today, and it's lined with sports. I'm going to tell you that, so if you're not a sports fan participate in sports. And then he said, that's fine too, because anybody in here, anybody out there can plug this video into his or her life. And let me just tell you, when I first saw this, is that it was a great professor of mine from Seton Hall University who passed this along to me. And I watched it. Anyone who passes along a book, a video, something, I'm like, okay. I usually will open it, I will take a look at it, and I will watch it. But if I hear that also from a second person within a short period of time, or a third person, something's telling me, whether it's this wonderful universe, something is tapping me on the shoulder and saying, you know what, you got to watch this, Scott. Not only because this person passed it along, because it's lined with a message that you need right here, right now. This was something that I needed in my life. I realized that my motivation, everything wasn't at that level it needed to be. And I realized, guess what, is that I wasn't giving my absolute best. You know, what is my absolute best? I've been able to discover that in my own life. I can't tell anybody in here, I can't tell my kids, I can't tell my wife, I can't tell my best friend what his or her absolute best is. That is something for you to discover, but I am telling you, if you in your heart, and we've talked about, and we'll talk more about this thing in our heads called our minds today, because this is where we go to a place of fear, and we'll talk more about fear a little bit later. But it's when we're in our hearts, that's when the mind thinks, the heart knows. When we're in our heart, that's when we can discover, you know what it is. There's a knowingness there. The mind thinks, the heart knows. There's a knowingness there as to what it is that's lined with greatness. Knowing that, you know what, when we're firing on all cylinders, knowing full well that we've given our best. So when you have that feeling of giving your best, you feel a sense of accomplishment. You feel that you've taken something to another level. But let me just tell you, what's beautiful about that is that what it might have been your best yesterday may not be your best today. And going forward tomorrow, it may be even different. And that's the beautiful thing. See, there's an uncertainty there about it, because our mind wants to know. It wants control over the situation. It wants to know, well, what's my best? I want to know right here, right now. If you rewind that tape of your life, you will notice times here at school, outside of school, socially, you name it, athletically, musically, whatever it is, acting, whatever it may be, you will know, you know, I was at my best. I gave it my best, and the results were the best. So a lot of people will say, well, I reached that, it doesn't get any better than this. And I said, no, and it gets back to the Chesney, constant never-ending improvement. What might be your best today may not be tomorrow. It may be, but I can tell you, in all areas of your life, your best is just waiting to be discovered. Can I push a little bit harder? Maybe it's scaling back on something, but knowing full well, wow, what's on the other side? I give an effort, whether it be here at school or somewhere else. You know what? I've seen the results. What if I gave a little bit more? The best way that I love to describe it, and I absolutely will get to the video, is that if you ever had like a running race before, or even when we were like little kids and somebody was chasing you, is that you wanted to get away from that person. So you might have been exhausted, you might have been tired, but you said, wait a minute, I got something left in my reserves. I have almost like the unknown. You're like, wait a minute, where did this energy come from? Where did this focus come from? You know what, as we get a little bit older, is that we kind of like, we settle from time to time. Whereas I'm going to say, you know, we know from our experiences now that if we dig a little bit deeper, yes, at times it requires a little bit more effort. But sometimes it's requiring less effort, because we're going to take focus away from something that's not really benefiting us anymore, and we're just going to put that time and energy in what it is that we want.